Welcome to Rent a Pop Lessons, Politics Edition. If you don't know the importance of voting before this video, you're going to understand the importance of voting after this video. But no further ado, let's spin the clip.
Enforcement is in full effect, with mass deportations underway all across the country. Mexico and Guatemala have already received flights of migrants, while Colombia initially refused before their president reversed course. Trump had been threatening Colombia with tariffs over the refusal, but those look like they're no longer needed. And here in the United States, things are running smoothly. Border czar Tom Homan is leading the charge in Chicago as he oversees arrests in the Windy City, while the DA of Los Angeles.
I'm not sure who Tom Homan is. I'm pretty sure before the month of February come, everybody will know who Tom Homan is. But he just seemed a little too happy about his work to me. But let's spin the clip.
Says it is now cooperating with federal officials to enforce immigration laws. We are also learning that ICE has made arrests in Atlanta, as the Washington Post is also reporting that the Trump administration wants between 1,200 and 1,500 migrant arrests a day.
1,200 to 1,500 migrants per day. Let's just do some rough math, shall we? Forget the 65. Let's just work on the 300. 300 times 1,500 is 4.5 million people without the 65. Pay attention, people.
So far, their efforts are proving to be successful. DEA agents in Colorado arrested 50 illegals this morning, including members of the Tren de Aragua gang. Meanwhile, there are other illegals with ties to TDA that were also arrested in San Antonio, Texas, in Nashville, Tennessee. It is believed that they were caught and released at the border by the Biden administration.
Now, the dude on the left is clearly Hispanic. The guy on the right looked like a white boy that got caught up with some friends. If he's Hispanic, I can't tell.
Back in 2023, CB Cotton has been tracking this all across the country today for us. CB, to you.
Hi, Molly. Well, on the ground in Chicago, President Donald Trump's expanded show of force on immigration is playing out. ICE announcing the start of targeted operations with the help of 5 other federal agencies, to include ones from the Department of Justice. Now, the scale and scope of the arrest are still not clear, but Fox News is told the first arrest was someone who remained in the country illegally despite having killed a 19-year-old woman while driving under the influence. The Justice Department's acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove was on the ground in Chicago today, telling Fox in part, quote, "This morning I had the privilege of observing brave men and women of the department deploying in lockstep with DA."
Is it me, or is that the face of somebody enjoying their work? Just look at the smug look on his face. He can't be happier than doing what he's doing.
To address a national emergency arising from 4 years of failed immigration policy. Bove also warned that there will be consequences for anyone who tries to stop the deportation efforts. Video obtained by our colleague Matt Finn shows incoming border czar Tom Homan setting the tone for how things will play out.
They want to help. I appreciate all the fellow here.
And all that stuff for you. They forgot about that?
So while Chicago appears to be the start of multi-agency deportation efforts, we know ICE alone has carried out several raids across the country this week, leading to the arrest of Tren de Aragua gang members, MS-13 gang members, murder and rape suspects, and one known or suspected terrorist. Molly.
CB Cotton, thank you. You know, we had reporting this week right out of Boston, all across the country. We've seen this reporting of ICE bringing in suspects, and now a multi-agency approach. Tom Homan's boots on the ground in Chicago. This is really clearly an aggressive beginning to the promised plans of mass deportation.
And super encouraging, too. I mean, CB just went down the list. Tren de Aragua, MS-13, murder, rape, terrorist. And you're learning that Tom Homan is bringing all the assets of government together to go get those people. That's awesome. Go for that.
If those were the only people being arrested, detained, or deported, that would be awesome. There are other news reports out here that are stipulating that only 55% of the people being detained and or arrested have criminal backgrounds. So who's the other 45%? Let's take a listen and see if we get any context clues.
Faster. And that's what President Trump said. He said, apprehend more people every day. Joe, you were quoting some numbers earlier, like 10 to 15 million or 8 million, wherever you want to call it. A number of people have come in over the last 4 years. To actually deport that number of people in a year, you'd have to be getting like 21,000 a day, okay? Yeah. The president's calling for 1,200, 1,500. So he's doing what he said he would do, focusing on the biggest threats first. And if you live in any of these cities, you got to be saying to yourself, I feel just a little bit safer today because the good guys are going after the bad guys.
Yeah, all across the heartland, too, and highlighting Nashville, Tennessee, like the trendy Aragua issue. Tennessee is, one of the biggest parts of this as they're going after this gang that has now created a foothold in a multitude of cities all across America.
You don't think Tennessee and think gangs, right? You think New York, you think L.A. This is a 90-10 issue. Right, amazing. I got to meet the 10 sometime. In terms of 90 support, getting criminal gangs who came into this country illegally out of here through deportation, 10 support it. Yet somehow 148 Democrats would not support the Laken-Riley Act. How do you explain that? Possibly, that's in the House. How do you explain that to any of your constituents? Like, oh, no, actually, I'm against this because why? It's like saying, I'm against cancer research. That's a really bad thing. Like, that's how bad.
Some of the people probably voted against it because under this order, they were allowed to go into schools, places of worship, and other inappropriate places where they will be harassing people and quite possibly becoming collateral damage as a result of these searches and inquiries. But let's keep listening.
This is. Democrats have to get on board with this because this is why Donald Trump is Donald Trump 2.0 right now in the White House. Right. Immigration was the biggest issue in this campaign, maybe outside of men competing against women in sports, which was very underrated as far as being an issue, and the economy as well. So, look, we have laws. We have to enforce them. 2/3 of the American people, according to like CNN polls, support mass deportation. So get on board or, roll the dice and take your chances, Lisa.
And speaking of getting on board, Colombia has quickly changed its tune as far as allowing migrant flights back in.
Well, yeah, and President Trump gets knocked a lot for his use of tariffs, but this is where it comes in, right? You need that leverage over them to get them to acquiesce. It worked with Colombia. He threatened a 25% tariff on Colombia's imports. And so it worked for him. And we've seen things like there was a Department of Homeland Security intelligence report that Maduro's Maduro regime was releasing prisoners from Venezuela that were coming here via caravans as well. So how many of these countries are going to want to take back, terrorists, gang members, criminals? So you have to have some means to force them to do so. And it has an impact as well. I mean, we even saw at the end of November that Mexico's peso and Canada's dollar dropped after President Trump threatened them with tariffs to get them to step up on illegal immigration. We saw the use of tariffs work during his first administration as well when he threatened Mexico, and then they all of a sudden decided to step up to the plate. So I think he's using it very wisely, and today demonstrated that with Colombia.
By the way, if I could jump in here real quick, Jackie Heinrich reporting that Colombia is now reversed its decision and is now, quote, offering his presidential plans to help, bring deportees from the U.S. back into the country. So it's working.
Little change of tune, right? Yeah.
In less than one day, the guy goes from no deportation flights to my country to we can use my plane to get it done.
Amazing.
And Trump was the guy in the middle of all that. All right, the list of criminal migrants keeps growing. 4 illegals from Chile were arrested Wednesday for breaking into NFL star Joe Burrow's $7 million home earlier this month. Newly released police body cam footage shows one of the alleged criminals, it's crazy, wearing a Bengals hat, which is the team that Burrows plays for. Police also found an LSU shirt on the crooks, which is where Burrow went to college, as well as tools they think were used for the break-in. This is just the latest incident in a string of game day burglaries taking place at the homes of pro athletes like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Investigators say they have arrested at least 6 South American burglary organizations, including 5 based in Chile. A few months ago, the NFL and NBA and NHL were warned with a memo saying, quote, the FBI has linked some burglaries to South American transnational theft groups that are sophisticated and seemingly well-organized networks that incorporate advanced techniques and technologies. How crazy is it that they're wearing the Bengals and LSU gear they stole from the guy? And these gangs are everywhere, Joe. And for years, nobody's done a thing about them. And now we're finally going after like the most obvious criminal rings in the country.
It's a big middle finger, right? I'm going to go in, not only steal your home, I'm going to wear Bengals and LSU Tiger gear.
Wear the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I won a state championship for Wayne Valley in New Jersey, and I'm glad I didn't pursue my dream of playing in the NFL because my home would have been burglarized by now, right? So
yeah,
good thing I stayed off the
Joe.
radar. But it's amazing that it's so brazen now.
So just to recap, in case you had your head buried in the sand for the last couple weeks, we got a new president / old president that's back at the helm again. And if you wasn't ready before, you better be ready now, because changes are coming. But don't worry. Your Uncle Locke, your Randall Pop, he going to be here to drop that knowledge on you. Because for whatever reason or another, our folks don't seem to think politics matter until the stuff starts happening to you. It's just hitting close to home. So start making preparations if you haven't already. Hopefully it ain't too late. Start banding together, start getting your money right. Make sure your employment or your business is straight. We're going into some uncertain times. This your Renter Pop signing off till the next one.